steering wheel. Somebody tell him to give it to me.
There's something loose between my legs.
I don't know. Let go!
I'm heavier than a freaking boat.
Nothing he's going to say can make that any better.
Yeah, nobody. No more radio for the rest of the race.
I'm going home.
Hello and welcome to DRSFC, an F1 podcast by soccer nerds. I am a soccer nerd. My name is André Carlisle, and I am here with two other soccer nerds. Eboni, how are you?
I'm great. I'm ready for this discourse to be over.
Oh my God.
For both F1 and US soccer.
There has been a lot of discourse. So much discourse.
Oh.
I got sucked into some discourse and immediately regretted it. It's too much happening. Kyle, how are you?
I'm doing okay. And to counter the discourse, one thing I have realized is, you know the phrase, if at first you don't succeed, try again. That's not always true. Maybe sending 90 million crosses when you're up a man isn't a good idea. I don't know.
Hey.
Kyle, listen.
That's a third discourse you have introduced.
It was the
podcast.
Viagra, okay? It was the Viagra. Obviously, Jordan Henderson took too much of it because he ended up injuring himself and getting a yellow card. Like, I'm just saying.
I wish this was a soccer podcast right now, only right now, because I woke up, I'm not going to lie to y'all, I woke up heated at Mexico's coach. I was like, why would you, first of all, why'd you take off Quinones? Why'd you do that? And then second of all, like the crosses into the box when England told you what it was. I'm putting every big boy I have and we're just going to stand in the box. Why would you keep crossing into? Oh my God, my brain. I was so mad last night. I was just like, yeah, go ahead. I'm sure the 900th cross is going to be the one to equalize this game. Why don't you keep trying it until time runs out? And that's what they did. Jesus Christ. Anyway, we're back to F1. Had to get that off my chest. I'm not lying to y'all. It's like my first thoughts when I woke up. I was like,
as I was watching, I was like, oh, they're going to keep doing this. Oh, we're getting to the end of the match. And you know what was funny? If they had just ran at them, it was working. That was both the funniest part and the most. If you're an L3 fan, you're probably like, I could have done a better job. But as a hater, you could have loved that whole game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the one thing England wants you to do in that moment is exactly what you're doing. Like, we're down a player. We're not really going to extend ourselves to attack. So you're going to have to try and create some sort of disadvantage. And the only advantage they had was being really big in the box. So crosses aren't going to do that. Oh, my God. All right. F1. Here we go. F1. We have a lot to talk about regarding F1 too, because this was a multi-event race weekend, because we had a sprint qualifying, we had a sprint race, we had Grand Prix qualifying, and we had the Grand Prix, obviously. So real quick, just going to run through some of the results that happened, top line items. Sprint pole was Lewis Hamilton. That was very surprising. Ended up getting second in the race because Kimi passed him. Kimi finished first. Lando finished third. For the Grand Prix, Kimi stayed on pole, got himself on pole and stayed, and what's looking like he was going to stay there until he broke his car, or the car broke. Depends on your vantage point. Charles was second and Lewis was third. They both zoom by Kimi, and that was impressive, but Charles held on for the win. George ended up second. Lewis ended up third because of a safety car situation that I know we're going to, you know what? Let's just get into it.
Did you know that a race can end under safety car?
I did, but also why?
Because I thought this was racing. I thought this was a racing event and we go racing. That's what I was told. Fuck you.
Listen, I had so many 2021 flashbacks, and obviously it would have been worse if Lewis was in the lead and lost it. That would have been awful. But like, how come this specific scenario only ever happens to disadvantage Lewis? Like it happened in 2021, didn't cost him a lot now, as far as we know. We don't know the final tally of points at the end of the season. But like, I don't understand this scenario.
It's also just hilarious because it was like they saw what happened in 2021 and like, okay, so we will never fucking do that again. So now anytime there's a chance that the race could end under a safety car, we're letting it end under a safety car. That has been the MO for the FIA since that night. was
No,
never
because
again.
they were supposed to. They were supposed to get a racing lap in. Lewis only missed it by 0.2 because he came out from the white line behind George. Literally 0.2 seconds from the pit. And he was like, oh, because remember, I in the group chat, I was like, oh, George is fucked if they get a racing lap in. And they were supposed to. They unlapped the cars, which I don't know why they did. Just go race. You
No.
Clearly your mindset is we end under racing. So why would you take the time to unlap cars that weren't a problem anyway? Just go race. The real race was 1 through 3.
No.
Charles would have been screwed, sort of. Charles would have sort of been screwed. He probably would have been okay. Lewis was absolutely torching George, getting by him quick, especially with softs. George was on mediums for like 30-something laps? Goner. No. It was less, like 20-something, because he pitted after. He pitted
I think
way
it was
later.
like 24 laps old or whatever, because they were showing like the tire advantage, and I think his were like 24 laps old. And at the time, it was like Lewis's were like 2 laps old because he was just going around behind the safety car. I'm with you, Ebony. Given that it was the end of the race, you do not need to waste time unlapping the cars. You know that there's a risk that you're not going to be able to finish this race under a green flag. Give us the racing lap that we deserve from that race. You know that that's a possibility, so why do it? And then they want to blame it on a software error that told them that the race was going to restart, which was apparently wrong and should have never happened. But I software error to me feels like dog ate my homework situation. Like, I know I've made plenty of excuses like, oh man, the computer, like I don't know why it did that. You're lying. All right. You're just lying. I don't know what processes they use, but it feels ridiculous.
But my question is, how did it get to TV? If it was a software error with the cars, how did it get to TV? Because because Apple TV showed VSC ending.
Yes.
And
yes.
If
Or
that
ending,
was supposed to stop at the cars, no. You indicated you were going to stop, and then all because one car didn't get to the back of the pack before you got to the pit lane. You're going to say,
yeah, there it is.
That's the part. Okay, so as far as I understand this, so yes, we've ranted about several things at the beginning of this podcast, one soccer, one F1, but here's my understanding of what happened. So Max spins out and he's in the gravel. They got to clear his car. I don't even know what lap he spun out on. It was like 46 or 52 or something like that. I don't exactly remember which lap.
It was late. Yeah.
But it was very late in the race. So the full safety car had to be deployed. This wasn't a situation where you do a virtual safety car. It was a full safety car. So they got to clear Max's car out of there, get him out of there. It was apparently enough to bring out for him to have to do didn't he have to do like the medical car and stuff for the impact? Did that happen or no?
He didn't. No, he didn't impact anything.
He didn't. It wasn't
he stopped before the wall. Yeah.
He was just beached.
Yeah.
And so they had to clear the track, clear the car from the track. So that had to happen, number one. And then as they're going around in the safety car, apparently the way that I've heard that it's supposed to work, and this is, again, we are getting into so many like guidelines and articles and of like these addendums and these rule books. But apparently the way that it's supposed to work is that if you allow the cars to unlap, the last car to unlap has to unlap before the start of the next lap for the safety car to be able to go in that lap. And then the lap following that, you would have racing. Because that last car didn't unlap in time before the start finish line, that meant that, sorry, nothing we can do. The race, the safety car is going to stay out and the race is going to end under the safety car. And I think it was like, what'd you say, Ebony? How many like it was like milliseconds that it was like right at the line.
Oh no, that was Lewis pitted.
Yeah.
And he was trying to come out before George. Yeah, and he was
but then there was also the last car didn't unlap, didn't pass Charles in time before to make sure that that could be the last lap.
Oh,
it was
something
else like that happened, which was just like, I never heard of this rule. Why would I? Because this is such a unique situation. But apparently that was the reason why they were like, well, we missed it. Guess we can't. Guess we're just going to have to end this under a safety car because that car didn't cross the line in time to make that the final lap.
He wasn't far enough
safety
ahead
car.
for like there to be actual racing. And I'm like, it's an Aston Martin. They've been passing them on track every race. What do you mean? He knows
they
to get
pass
out of
them
the
on
way.
like the 15th lap.
Yes.
Actually, no, because Stroll was ignoring black and white flags all race. So he would have ignored the blue flag. So whatever. He got a time penalty because he was ignoring the black and white flags for track limits. So sure.
It's annoying that this happened. Yes, because I do think that I've never been a marshal. I don't know what's required to hook up an F1 car and get it off the track, but it seemed to me like they did it in plenty of time to restart the race. So the rest of it was just slow bureaucratic decisions when you didn't have time to have slow bureaucratic decisions. It was getting to the point where you're running out of laps. You need to make this happen. So for me, the big thing that I have is why make the call, like y'all have been saying, why make the call to unlap the cars? There was no need for that. We were going to get our race shootout, like one lap shootout for the podium places. We were going to get that. That was going to be impressive. That was going to be exciting. Who knows? Maybe Lewis passes George and you get him coming in second. Maybe he puts a little bit of pressure on Charles. Who knows? But like you would have had something interesting. And now you don't. You have like the least interesting into a race, which is just everybody cruising around behind a safety car, crossing the line, and there's no build up or anything. It's just like, oh, I just watched all that, and they're driving around like they're on the highway instead of actually racing on a track.
The biggest issue is that you see them come get Max's car, and he's off the track by like the third time they've gone around. So 3 laps and the car's clear.
That's it. That's the part.
And
for
so
me.
it took you another 3 laps to unlap everyone and to make that decision. Well, it took you an extra lap to make the decision to unlap. And then it took you 2 laps to unlap everyone. And then they still didn't do it.
That's it for me. There was plenty of time between when they got Max's car out of the way. You could have had 1, maybe 2 laps of racing. If you want to unlap the cars, okay, fine. But you still should have had a lap or 2 to do racing.
I argue they could have had 3. They could have had 3.
I think by the time they got Max's car cleared out.
But they should have been making that decision while clearing Max's car.
That's the thing for me. Is it should not have taken that long to get Max. It took a lap or 2 to get Max's car out of the way. And it was like, after that, I was like, what are we doing? It just felt like everyone was just kind of standing around waiting for an adult to make a decision.
They don't multitask. It was, okay, now Max's car's clear. Okay, now let's talk about how we're going to finish the race. No, his car has to be clear. So now you have to figure out what you're going to do because you're so gung-ho on it's a racing event. You go racing. How do you not talk about that in that moment? Because all of the cars that pitted were like, oh, we're about to get a shootout, a 2-lap shootout, maybe 3 laps. Because remember, Lewis got on the radio and was like, what's the plan for the 2 laps? Because he thought it's clear. What are we doing? He asked them for the plan because he just changed tires. He was like, he's a sitting duck. He has no way to stop me. Everybody's like, what's the plan? And then FIA is just like sitting there. Like, oh, right. We do have to finish this race. How are we doing this? This is the most animated I've ever been about a race in like such a long time. It pissed me. I was literally, if you could see our group chat, I literally was like, fuck, this is why nobody likes the FIA. What are we doing? How are they still? I'm so sorry. I went.
It just didn't make sense.
It's a deserved crash out because it doesn't make sense. Like, make the decisions. The thing that gets me, Eboni, is like, how are they still this like slow to make these decisions?
Yes.
Like, it's a race. Like every single team has a race strategist that prepares for all these certain moments and what could happen. Like, if there's a safety, like, you have to be prepared. If there's a safety car now, do we pit or do we not? If it's a virtual safety car, do we pit or do we not? Does that change our tire strategy? What do we do? Like, every team employs a strategist to make that happen. And it feels like The FIA needs one of those as well. Like, if somebody crashes on this lap, what are we going to do? Okay, lap 46 or whatever it was, somebody crashes and needs that. How do we clear this car and in time to get to finish under racing instead of a safety car? What are the decisions that need to be made? What's the decision tree? How do we do it? Like, this is the basic organizational stuff of like, how do you make the decision that you need to make the things happen on the timeline to better benefit the race itself and to make sure that everybody is safe. I'm not necessarily like super mad at I was a little bit crashing out at the marshals. I'm like, clear the car. And then I realized it wasn't really the car being cleared that was the problem. Yeah. It was them being slow to make their decisions about when the race is going to restart and also unlapping the cars when there was really no need to. So like, I just think the FIA has, yes, you don't have the billion, you're not poor, but you don't have like the billions that Mercedes or Ferrari or Audi or any of these big manufacturers have. But you can employ people who can look at a race at any given time and say, hey, if this happens, here's what we do. They've been racing for over 50 years. Was it just F175 like last year? Like, you've been racing for a very long time, and you've had to make different changes to the rules for a very long time for safety and everything else. I don't see how things like this consistently happen with them, where something happens and they're like, oh my God, what do we do? It's like they're scrambling around trying to figure it out. You know that like Minions? They're on my mind because of the Telemundo ad reads for Minions and Monsters. I love that. It's so fun every time I hear it.
I'm over it because the boys are also asking, can we watch that movie? I was like, since when have you liked Minions?
The ad read is working.
It's working.
Shout out to Telemundo. But like, it's like they just like the alarms are going off and they're just all running around in a circle because, oh my God, the safety car came out with laps. Okay, somebody be an adult and say, here's what we need to do. Here's what we're going to do to finish this. It does not seem like a hard thing. That's the thing that makes us so frustrated, I think, is that it does not seem like a difficult thing to figure out.
It shouldn't be.
You would think they would have planned, like, have these scenarios where you go, okay, if we have this scenario around this time, what is the plan? If we have this scenario, you should think there is a flow chart almost of what happens, and you just follow the flow chart, and then you make the decision. Yeah. And yet it feels as though they kind of are winging it. They're just winging it. And that's, I think, where most of the people are having an issue with it, is it doesn't feel like it's never consistent. It's no one is on the same page. Because I'm sure, because Ferrari made the right decision. Ferrari said, okay, we're going to pit Lewis and we're going to pit Charles. We can do this because we'll have fresh tires. George stays out. Great. We can get him easily. I'm sure other teams went with the plan of, we have a lap or two of racing. And that it's not just the top of the grid that is affected. There was teams that could have missed out on a point or two because of this decision. It causes this issue where no one trusts what the FIA is doing. And I was laughing because I think Doug had posted like, oh yeah, the FIA makes FIFA seem competent. And then we had FIFA's bullshit later on. I was like, they're trying to go ban for dysfunction.
Right.
Well, that's also fair because if you both the Baby Bulls cars and Alpine also were like, okay, we're about to shoot out. And then Kimi, because he was like, I'm going to stay out because I want to continue to race. So he didn't come back in, even though he was like, I don't know what was happening with Kimi's car. Like, that's another thing we'll talk about in a second. But
shit just
it was
broke.
It was wild because George had a puncture. Let's finish our rant and then we'll talk about Mercedes. But still, like, there were people that were like actively like, oh, I'm in 11th. I can definitely get to 9th if I put on new tires, or he's struggling, so I just needed like 2 more laps of like actual racing to go catch him, whatever it was. So my last point, FIA, you're stupid.
It's true. I am not a very organized person. I'm fairly disorganized. And so I give a lot of leeway to people who may be like me and need some help when it comes to being organized. But when you're an institution like the FIA and all you're like, one of your main jobs is to oversee how races are run at racetracks, and you have 24 races a year to get this right. I don't understand how these decisions are. And the thing is, we are being harsh, but we're only being harsh because the only reason we did not have a race that finished with a racing lap was FIA's disorganization. That's it. That's the only reason. It wasn't a safety thing. It wasn't like Max crashed on like lap 50. It wasn't anything else. It was just bad decision making, bad timing. That's the only reason the race ended under a safety car. And when that's the case, that's when things become very frustrating and are almost unforgivable, given that that's your one job during a race. That's your one job to understand what's happening on track and how are you going to react to it. Like Kyle said, flow chart, whatever you need, it's your one job.
If Max had crashed on lap 58, I would have been like, yeah, okay, finish under safety car. Makes complete sense. If it was close enough that it was finishing under safety cars, because we've seen that before, it's like, all right, fine. But it was just the process of, okay, it took you 2 laps to try and unlap these cars, and you still didn't do it? It's just like how do you fumble this so badly? And I think that's where people are more pissed off. Not the fact that it ended under safety car. It's that it ended under the safety car because it was something you had control over and you still fucked it.
Yep, that's it. That's the exact point. So, all right. Now that that's out of our system, which it's been we needed this. This felt like therapy. We need to yell at the FIA for a good 20 minutes.
It's been a while since we yelled at the FIA.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about some of the other things that happened. And I think, Eboni, you brought us to it with Mercedes as well. Like, this suddenly is a championship battle for real, because, and we'll talk about the Ferrari side of this as well, but Mercedes just keeps having weird problems. If their engines aren't blowing up, a puncture happens. If a puncture doesn't happen, the battery dies. If the battery doesn't die, suddenly now we know Kimi Antonelli's like wing on his car can just suddenly break, I guess. So like, I don't know what's going on with their, like, they've built a hell of a car when it all works. But there are a lot of times already this season when certain aspects and pieces of that car have not worked and have not worked to catastrophic results in terms of can't finish a race or drops from like putting on pressure to try and win the race from Charles to suddenly trying to fight for a single point because your car is broken. I don't know what's going on with Mercedes, but I guess thank you, because now now everything's on. Drivers is on, constructors is on.
It was so weird. Like, all of a sudden, George is in this. First, he was battling Max, and then he was battling Lewis. Oh, sorry,
he had a puncture early.
And then he battled Max, and then all of a sudden, like, he's still battling, and all of a sudden they're just like, pressure, and we're just like, huh? And all of a sudden they're like, you have a puncture, and he's like, I don't feel like I have a puncture. And they're like, no, come on in. And he was like, but I don't feel. Nope, come in. And all of a sudden his race is shot. And then we get to Kimi storming back, and like he said, like, they changed the wing, they changed the tires. He gets back out there and is immediately like, no, that didn't fix it. But he couldn't tell them what it was, because the radio call was so weird. He was just like, something's wrong. They're like, we don't know. Let us look. And they're like, can you give us some more information? Something's just wrong. Okay, but what's wrong? I don't know. Something's wrong. I need the kid to learn like the more about the car, to be fair as well. But still,
I mean, he's a teenager. You don't know nothing. You just Kimi go fast.
I also was a teenager, and when weird things would happen to my car, I would just go, "Hey, something's wrong with the car," and my dad would be like, "What?" I was like, "I don't know. It made this sound," and that's the best I can give him.
Car don't work. That's it. That's
where did it happen? I don't know. What part of it? Couldn't tell you.
This is the race they're going to point to and be like, this is why you keep the car on the track. Because then it turns out he ran over the curb so hard that he broke a sensor or something inside the tire wheel.
The shield.
And that's what was the shield, I guess. I don't know. It was something in the wheel. And when they changed the wheel, like changed the tire, it didn't actually like fix anything, or the wing, or any of the matter of the sort. So he broke his own car, couldn't tell him why he broke the car or how, just that something felt funny. And then the 5-second penalty for going off the track so many times. They're just like, Kimi, just come retire the car. And he's just like, no, I'm going to stay out. I can do this. It's like,
on one hand, I appreciated it. Like he's fighting, he's scrapping. Like, this is really bad luck, but he's like, damn it, I'm not going to retire the car. And I do appreciate that. But also, like, if you stay out there and your car can't like make the corners, and you're going to get penalties, and you should, because that's also like kind of a safety problem, and it's also an advantage if you don't have to take the same corners everybody else takes. And we've talked about this before with Kimi and his driving style. He doesn't appear to have any real weaknesses in terms of tire wear, pace, or anything else, race pace, qualifying pace. Like, he is exceptional. Problem is, kind of wheel-to-wheel racing needs a little bit of work, but also staying on the track seems to be really hard for him sometimes. And it, depending on how certain curbs are manufactured, these cars are very low to the ground. That can snap something and cause a problem. And it seems like that's what happened in this race.
Well, and it was one of those where he is, and I think this is one of the things that maybe he'll learn as he gets older. As you said, he needs to communicate what is wrong. And I think that is something that is kind of an underrated thing. Like, that's why Hamilton was so good and why Max is so good. Like, I think they're both able to explain to them. Carlos Sainz, I think, one of the top drivers are doing this and saying, this is what's wrong with the car. This is, I don't know like how to fix it, but I have XYZ problem. It's happening XYZ and I can't do this. And then the engineer is able to kind of look and say, all right, cool. We'll be able to figure it out from there. And I think that's something that Kimi just has to work on, which I'm sure as he has more races and he gets older, it's one thing. But yeah, it was one of those where I said in the group chat, either that car is completely fucked or Kimi is being way too dramatic. And there is no in between, because he was saying, I can't do this. And he was like, but I'm not coming in. I'm going to stay out. Although the car is very broken. No, I'm not going to come in though. Just felt like it was all over the place. And that might be more of like a panic kind of thing, because this isn't the first time Kimi's kind of had this situation where he feels like something is very wrong with the car and Bono has to be like, no, you're fine. Like, keep going. Or Toto has to go and be like, the car's okay, just race. Like, I know we've talked about it in the past, but I think those are the areas for Kimi where it's like, take a deep breath, explain what you need to. If it's that bad, they'll tell you it's that bad. But at the same time, going all over the place and kind of emotional crash out, I would say, teenage crash out, is not helping the situation.
Yeah, if you remember in the beginning, like when everybody was starting to pit and he was just like over the radio, just like, don't let them undercut me. Don't let them undercut me. Guys, what's happening? Don't let them. And Bono's just like, calm down. We've got you. We've got it. You're still doing fine. And then like afterwards, he was just like, oh, okay. He pitted, came back out in second, and he was actually chasing Charles down. And he like, there's got to be that trust there. Like, you can't be the one to ask for guidance or ask for guidance, but then also like not trust the guidance that they're giving you. If you're still trying to learn the car and how to ask for that guidance or how to pick and choose when you want to take control of what's happening within your race, you also have to be able to give some of that back and be like, okay, I trust that you are doing the right thing by me. I'm going to stay out. Okay, cool. Now, George, if you remember at the end of the race where he's talking to the engineers and he goes, the straight line speed was a little off, and they come back and go, no, that was pretty good actually, and then just stops talking. There's something happening at Mercedes with not only their cars, with just like hierarchy, and I think it's starting to turn to Kimi. And as I've said, George is not racing in a Mercedes next year.
Yeah. Well, on that, there's apparently some big F1 announcement, and these, which I hate this. I hate this so much. Like, don't tease this really big, earth-shattering announcement, news that you might know, and then give like no timeline on it. So we have no idea. I'm sure by the time this is out, people will know, but we have no clue what's happening. And it could be they're going to add more races. It could be Max is moving teams. It could be Max is retiring. It could, whatever would qualify to make multiple journalists tease this big F1 rocking, shattering like news. Okay, fine. We'll see what the hell that is. But I do think, Eboni, there's a big chance that George ain't with Mercedes. And I also think there's a very big chance that Max ain't with Red Bull. He is not a happy man right now.
He was not. The radio call from when he crashed, he literally was like, F this effing car. F this.
Yeah.
This was so
mad.
stupid.
Yeah, this car has gotten, it seems like it's gotten worse, and he cannot trust it, and now he cannot keep it on the track. And that is really bothering him, because I think Max's ego more than anything else is something that will drive this, because he does not want to be seen. I mean, he used to crash early in his career. You know, he did have a reputation for crashing, but since he's won all these championships, doesn't have that reputation anymore. So the fact that he's crashing again, and people maybe don't know enough about the sport to say, like, is this him pushing too hard, or is this an actual problem with the car? There are Red Bull are being like, hey, it's completely the car's fault, but they're very incentivized to say it's the car's fault. So we don't know, but I know that he doesn't like this at all, because it is a bad look. You're behind the wheel. Your teammate seems to be fine. Hadjar outqualified him, by the way, in the Grand Prix, which is that hadn't happened in years in terms of a teammate outqualifying Max. So like that to me, more than anything, seems like he's like, all right, actually, I'm actually going to get out of here. And whether he gets out of here to another racing series altogether or another F1 team, I don't know.
But this is the second time that Max has had a crash like this where the rear wing didn't fully close. Like, this is the second time. Like, he had his qualifying, was it in Austria, like the previous week? It seems to be a common theme. And at one point, it's like, okay, is it the car, is it the driver? When it's a one-off, you can say it's the car. This is the second time now that this exact same thing has happened. And Max has already made it very clear how much he hates these cars. So it could be one of those where he's like, I'm sick of having my race and my qualifying ruined because of a computer that I don't have any control over. And that might be his sign of saying, F it, I'm out. And I'm going with the news of it's going to be very underwhelming. It might be like, yeah, here's actually those Saudi and Bahrain races. We're actually going to do it at the end of the year. I feel like that's what it's going to be.
Well, there's also
anytime an announcement is hyped like this, it usually doesn't meet the hype. I mean, given the fact that they're hyping it so much, and multiple journalists have made it seem like the biggest deal F1 has dealt with in a long time, makes it seem like, all right, whatever is going to drop, if it's not like, oh my God, we got a like emergency podcast right now, which is a very high bar because we don't really do that here.
Right. I think the last time we did it was when Yuki moved.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was the last time we did it because we're mad. We did a hashtag free Yuki situation because that was upsetting. But yeah, I don't know what it could possibly be. I just hope it's announced soon because this is really annoying that they've done this. All right, let's move on because we have a couple more things to talk about before we get into accountability corner and look at what our predictions were and then what happened, which we had some, I'm scrolling and we had some interesting predictions. So I'm excited to review that. But before we do that, let us talk about Ferrari, because where the hell did that come from? I know, like I'm not an engineer. I don't know anything, but I try to listen to people who are smarter than me and all of that. And so everybody like wasn't really necessarily buying the things that Ferrari was saying in terms of like, we're not going to be competitive here, all of that stuff. But they looked at the car's characteristics and the engine characteristics and the way that the new engine worked at Austria. And they were like, don't know if Ferrari is going to be able to have the power at a track like Silverstone. Not only did they have the power, they look like at least I guess the only driver car combination that was better than Charles in the Ferrari and Lewis in the Ferrari was Kimi in the Mercedes. That seemed to be the only one. But they had a ton of pace. They didn't get completely reeled in, and the Mercedes didn't run away from them like everybody thought was going to happen, and the Red Bull didn't run away from them like everybody thought was going to happen. Suddenly, and I hate to do this, like if this engine is legit, and then they also get an additional engine upgrade at some point in this year as well, like this is their first, they get a second one, like Ferrari, I don't want to say it out loud, but like, or are they just being liars about how good the car is, or do they themselves not understand why they've been so good?
I think in this instance, they were generally surprised at how well they did, because Lewis seemed to, and I'm saying this more because of how Leclerc did. Lewis had shown the whole weekend like he was going to be up there, he was going to compete, so that was not surprising. But with Leclerc, it was kind of like he seemed to be so far behind And that's where I don't think he realized how good the car was going to be, and I don't think Ferrari realized it. And Leclerc said they made some changes to his car between Saturday morning to the afternoon, and that was the key difference. And that was what got him to be in the position that he did in qualifying to winning the race. So I don't think Charles and Ferrari fully knew what the car was capable of. And while Lewis might not have admitted it, I think he felt like, okay, the car is still the same. And Charles even said he was thinking of driving like Lewis. So I think it was more Leclerc realizing, oh, maybe if we do this change, and Ferrari being like, yeah, sure. And it worked. So I don't think they actually knew. I don't think they were lying or BSing us. I think they genuinely had no clue what was going to happen until they got after the sprint race or going into qualifying. And I say this as someone that has no trust in Ferrari. Like, I genuinely don't think they were lying. I think they didn't fully understand the capability of the car.
To say that for like a race team was surprised how good their car is hilarious to me.
But it does happen. Remember last year, so like Mercedes were good when like the temperature was cool, and they had no idea why. They're like I guess we'll be good here. The temperature seems to be fine. And then there were other races where the car was like the temperature was warmer and they were good as well. It's just like sometimes this happens, and there's such a confluence of things from like track demands, track sizes, engines, aerodynamics. Like there are so many things that come into play that trying to understand it all, you would hope that after several races, teams would be on top of their car, specific deficiencies and where they need to improve and where they're strong. But the tracks are so varied and the demands are so varied and the drivers are so varied that sometimes you got a lot of question marks, even though you have a lot of data. And so that's what's funny to me is like Ferrari's new engine debuted in Austria, and it still looked very power limited when compared to Mercedes and Red Bull. And then you get to Silverstone, which is a track that is longer, has longer straights than what exists at Austria, and is less power, so it's less of a battery demand, or it's more of a battery demand than Austria as well, because you don't have a ton of zones where you can recharge that battery. So you will be relying on that internal combustion unit a lot more. It just seemed natural to be like, well, Ferrari's going to struggle here because their engine, even though they upgraded it, they still haven't gotten to the point where they can hang with the Mercedes cars. Charles was rolling. Like he was fine out front. He was not getting reeled in. He was doing okay. Lewis cooked his tires a little bit, having a battle, but like he was fine as well. Like I don't want to believe, but I feel like Silverstone's maybe a more representative situation, but then again, we thought Barcelona was.
They got off that start, and Leclerc did not look back. Like that was the thing. Like once Lewis and Charles got past Kimi, it was over for that. It was over at that point.
Yeah.
And were it not for some odd, like Lewis having to battle Max, he was battling Max, he was battling George. I think he got looped in with battling Lando at one point. Like Lewis having to battle really hurt. And after Kimi passed Lewis, I was kind of like, okay, it's going to be Kimi and Charles, and that was it. But Lewis had done such a good job for Charles that he was so far ahead in that clean air that it didn't matter. So I will say, like, it sucks Lewis had to kind of do that. / I don't even think Ferrari told him to do it. It just naturally happened. But Charles being able to have that much clean air and be able to increase the distance as Lewis is battling everyone really made the difference.
I want to believe that Charles has cleared his mind. He's taken that long drive down the coast.
That's so I just makes it seem like he is like, all right, I'm back. He was like, hard times don't matter, hard people do. I was like, oh, we're talking our shit.
He did the me.
He did the me. That was the cutest race call ever. But I mean, for one, I don't think Lewis battled Lando. Lando was never really a factor for the top three.
I think it was more like when Lewis got out of the pits, like the first or second. I think it was after Lewis pitted.
But then he just like, yeah. Okay. I was like, first of all, I want to talk about the middle of the pack just a second, because Lindblad is starting to feel himself again after some very, very bad races where he gets on the radio and tells the engineers, hey, can you tell Liam to speed it up? I was like, oh.
I love when that happens.
My bad. And then Colapinto going from P19 to P9. My boy.
I should have known you were going to get some Alpine.
Gabby Bortoletto getting points.
Yes. That made me happy.
Still don't know what the hell's going on with Nico's car all season, but hey, Gabby got points.
I don't know either. I mean, and apparently, like the data is telling them that like their chassis is really good. It's their engine that's letting them down. So like and obviously they have the upgraded capacity as well, given that whole Aduo thing. So I don't know when they have engine upgrades coming, but it'll be very interesting to see what happens to that midfield. Because remember, early in the season, it was like Alpine was like consistently the top of the midfield. And then suddenly now it's like Racing Bulls, who's the top of the midfield. But it looks like it's just going to switch all like throughout the season, depending on development and what else happens. So I'm excited because I think Audi can get there as well, because if the chassis is as good as they say, it's just going to be the engine upgrade.
None for Williams. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Williams and Aston Martin and Cadillac, y'all don't exist. And Haas really as well. Haas had like a decent
Haas was
start,
fine, except Ollie got hit by the early crash that Albon was involved in. It was like, all right, well, that's it for Ollie.
Yeah. Yeah, that was bad news. All right. I think it's time for us to get to accountability corner so we can look at our predictions from the preview, but also we will give our Zoomy and Gloomy Boy awards from the race, because there are quite a few other drivers and teams that we need to talk about. So we've been very like top of the grid heavy, but for good reason. Fucking safety car. All right, we'll be right back. All right, and we're back. Here we go with accountability corner. Accountability, I would say hour, but we're not going to spend an hour doing this. Accountability something. I haven't really properly named this section, but Kyle, you said the sprint winner would be George. You were wrong. Yeah. You also said the podium would be Max, George, and Lando.
Oh.
I am surprised I got George there, and we were close with Lando.
You did. You got George in the right spot, too, so that is impressive.
But Max was what killed me.
Yeah, it did. Eboni, you had the sprint winner being Kimi. Shout out to you. That's a correct one. Your podium for the Grand Prix was Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, and Kimi Antonelli.
I was close until lap 45. Okay.
You were close. It would have been decent. I was not close. Whatever. My sprint winner, I said Max, and then my podium was Kimi Antonelli, Max Verstappen, and George Russell. I was completely sold on the fact that Ferrari would not be a factor, so I had 0 Ferraris on the podium. I was wrong. My bad. Deep D had George winning the sprint, which was wrong, and had George winning the race. Lando second and Lewis third. Got Lewis third, but the other two.
She was really feeling that all Britain podium at the British Grand Prix.
She was. So. She said that at the beginning, though. She was like, I'm going all Brits.
Yeah. And I guess she won't do that again because it didn't work out well. Constructor scrap. We try to predict who had the most points and who had the least points in terms of the constructors from the weekend. I think we have to call it. Actually, we don't have to call it.
We almost had to call
Kyle.
It.
Let's talk about it, sir.
In my defense, it was looking very strong where we could not pick Mercedes. Because I think we said, a double podium would have been like it.
Yep.
It was looking likely.
But the reason why we told you or tried to convince you that we don't need to do that yet was because of Mercedes' reliability. And what happened? One car got a puncture and the other broke itself.
Well, one broke itself because the driver went over the curb too hard.
Well, okay, the driver broke it, but whatever.
Fine.
It's semantics.
Yeah, bottom line is it broke, and that means that Mercedes is still available to choose at least next week. If they get a double podium, we will remove them. But right now, it looks like you can't really rely on both cars to finish the race or finish within like the top 5 or 6 or even 7 sometimes every single race. So, we'll see. Moving on. You chose McLaren as the most points. Nope. And Williams as the least.
Hey, I got that.
Williams is becoming a bit of a cheat code too, by the way. But
I was going to say we might have to put Williams in that list-ish.
I mean, ruling out 3 teams feels excessive, but we might have to. Eboni, your most said Red Bull. Nope. And least you had Haas. I think you were correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had Mercedes with the most. I was wrong. And I had Haas with the least. So at least I got correct there. Deepty, Mercedes as well with the most. So that was wrong, but least Williams. So yeah. I don't know.
It was Ferrari with the most, right?
Yeah, Ferrari with the most. And then the least was, of the ones we could select, was Williams and Haas.
That's it.
And I think that's probably
Bordelotto got a point, and then Race Bulls had double points, and so did Alpine.
Yep. So, all right, there we go. And Alpine got points as well.
Yes, because they finished in 9th and 10th.
Yeah. So all right. All right, it's Zoomy and Gloomy Boy time. Eboni, give me your Gloomy Boy, and then give me your Zoomy Boy.
Ooh, Gloomy definitely has to be the young Maestro Kimi. Sorry, kid.
Yeah.
My Zoomy though, Alpine supremacy. they are killing it on track right now. Like I said, P19 to P9. Colapinto, we doubted you, and you know what? That's on me. I apologize. He's faster than Gasly right now. This has been fantastic. I'm loving whatever's happening at Alpine. Still a little bit funny money, but still, I'm going to give it to them. They had a great weekend.
All right. I understand both selections. Fair enough. And of course, I expect you to give the Alpine love.
Yeah.
Kyle, yours Gloomy Boy, and then yours Zoomy Boy.
I was really torn on who to give Gloomy Boy. I'm just going to give it to Williams. Albon, again, terrible race, gets into a crash, gets a penalty. Carlos Sainz, nowhere close, gets a penalty for unlapping himself when he wasn't supposed to do so, apparently.
The funniest they gave his penalty was giving him back the lap that he unlapped himself.
It was extremely hilarious. It was a 1-lap penalty.
Which I think just describes the state of how things are going over at Williams. Is you're getting penalties for things that I didn't even know was possible. And my Zoomy, I'm going to give it to Bordelotto. Way to get in the points. Very happy for him. I feel like the car is better than the results are showing. Like, they are sitting third from bottom with only 6 points, but I feel like most of the time it's because the car itself just falls apart at the worst time. But Bordelotto was able to do it, get into the points. I think he has been consistent. He's always been hovering in that like 8 to 12 range. So happy for him.
Yeah, me too. I'm a big Gabby Bordelotto fan. I really hope that Audi gets there where they can like consistently scrap in that midfield. And the engine upgrades have, I mean, it's tough with them because they're the only ones running that Audi engine. So it's very difficult to get all the data they need. But I'm really hoping that they can do something with that engine this season, because I really do think that he's a really impressive young driver. And the fact that like, I feel like we've seen Kimi and then Lindblad and Hajar and Ollie Behrman. Like we've seen so many drivers come in and like announce themselves, and doesn't feel like Bordelotto has just yet. But I think it's just a function of the team that he's joined versus the others, and relative to expectations, because you have no idea. And now they're racing as Audi, and Audi has a dynamic like motorsport history. So I mean, we'll see. But yeah, I think Bordelotto's a really good driver, and so I like seeing that. Plus, Brazilian drivers on the grid, always exciting to have. All right. Gloomy, my Gloomy Boy. The damn Silverstone sprint race. I was angry that this was a sprint race before, and I feel vindicated. This long-ass track, in 17 laps, somebody got lapped. That's a problem. There was multiple cars over a minute down from the leaders in a sprint race. Okay? Let's not have that. And yes, you did get a lead change. You had an interesting race at the top, I suppose, but no, not really. I'm just, this is not a track that is conducive to a sprint race. And I know that Silverstone is important. I know that they bring in a ton of fans, and you want to give those fans as many race events and competitive events as possible. No, I'm sorry. Like if racing fans and Brits are as diehard as they say, they will fill up the stands for P1, P2, and P3 just as much as they did for a sprint race and sprint qualifying. Like, let's just not at Silverstone anymore, please. It's useless.
It just was a boring race.
Yes,
like that was the thing. There was a lead change. It was Kimi accidentally passing Lewis Hamilton, and that was kind of over after that. Like,
Yeah.
There wasn't really,
and even that felt like just like a battery thing. It was just like Lewis had used up his battery defending, and Kimi was like, "Well, I got overtake, so I've got a lot more battery than you, and you've got none. So bye."
Yeah, there wasn't
it.
really any battling. There wasn't a lot of like exciting moments. It was kind of like, all right, how did he qualify? Maybe some of you picked off the other car because you just have a better engine, but yeah, I agree. It was dull.
Yeah, it's not exciting, and I hope we don't see it again. Like I said, just give us P1, P2, P3. It'll be fine. Or FP1, FP2, FP3. If I'm being technical, sorry. And my Zoomy boy, Chuck is back. I think this was so important for him in terms of like not just having a good weekend, but like not just being close to Lewis in terms of qualifying, but out qualifying him and winning a race. I think he needed that, like both of those things to happen. Like he needed to be that. He needed a weekend like that to get him out of whatever little funk he had been in for the past like month plus. He's been really struggling mentally, it seemed, and really struggling with the car, obviously. But like he needed something like this, and I'm excited for it. I do think that given where they are in terms of championship points, there might come a time when Ferrari has to say, Chuck, I'm going to need you to get out the way and let Lewis get those points. That may have to happen, but at least we need both the Ferraris in the fight. And it feels like hopefully now Charles realizes you are good enough. The car, you can understand it well enough to where you can be in the fight as well. We will see. I don't really want him taking points off of Lewis, because if Lewis's eighth is within a shout, I need Ferrari to prioritize that. But I like Leclerc, and I think that where he's been, I just think that he views himself as not worthy of Ferrari, because in his mind, it's Ferrari. It's iconic. Like, oh my God, I can't believe lowly me. They want me to race for them. And it's like, no, actually, you are a benefit to them right now. Like it's the other way around, my guy. And I'm hoping that he starts to understand that throughout the course of this season, especially watching how Lewis is like, actually, you know how the meme, right, is like, I'm not trapped in here with you, you're trapped in here with me. It's almost like that's how Lewis approaches it, right? Like, yeah, I know you're Ferrari, but you're going to do what I want you to do because I want a winning car. And Charles has kind of always been like, oh, I'm trapped at Ferrari, poor me. Like, I'm just so grateful that they want me around. And it's like, no. So I'm hoping he learns those lessons. And I'm hoping this was a good start towards him learning that lesson. I just need you in the future. If this is legit, get out of Lewis's way. Make sure those points are his. That's all I'm saying. But for now, he's my Zoomy boy.
I will give a shout out. The other team I was considering giving Zoomy was Racing Bulls. I think this is the fourth week in a row, or fourth race in a row, that they've gotten double points, which is impressive as hell, because we're not the biggest Liam Lawson believers, but he has not done anything terrible.
Yeah.
Good for him. And speaking of drivers that will not be with their team in the future, Oscar Piastri is absolutely out of that McLaren seat soon.
Yeah. I think that's right. And I think Racing Bulls, like having that Red Bull engine, is kind of like, this is where I think having Red Bull having two, like a junior team, doesn't really come in it's like the one time they don't benefit from it, because they're like, oh, how dare the FIA say we have the best internal combustion engine? Oh shit. There's Racing Bulls picking up double points every single weekend. Oopsies. So I think that's part of it as well. But yeah, as much as I am still a Liam Lawson hater. It's something about his vibe I don't like. We don't jive. I think if we like sat in a room and we like try to have a discussion, I think we'd both realize like there's no reason for us to be talking to each other right now. I think he's got vibes that I don't really get along with, I think. And honestly, I don't know him as a person, so maybe that's completely wrong. But given what I know and what I know of myself, that's how I feel. But yeah, that him and Lindblad are doing a very, very good job. So I guess, Kyle, give the damn Racing Bulls drivers and that team a shout out.
That hurt. I know it did. I'm so sorry.
It did.
Another discourse.
Look, I may be a hater, but I will acknowledge good performances.
And you know what? I love that about you. I appreciate it. But that's it for us. I was hoping that at some point during this, we would end up getting the big news. Oh, Scott Dixon is going to McLaren's IndyCar team.
I don't think that's the news, though.
I hope not.
I will fight someone if that's the news.
Because it said it was F1 related, and that's not F1 related at all. So, okay. All right. We still don't know what that announcement is. Whatever. By the time this comes out, I'm guessing people will. But I was hoping it would drop so we could at least have like a momentary reaction to it or laugh at it, whatever it is. But it's not out yet, so I guess.
Oh well.
Vroom vroom.
Vroom vroom.
Vroom vroom, I guess.
Kyle.